Welcome into the Hyundai Studios here on STOHD.com for STO Fantasy Playbook. I'm Will Ewick, doing it alongside Ryan Kavanaugh. We're going to feature our waiver wire column, a special edition this week, where we looked at all the stats and we're coming up with our favorite quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, guys you can add that can help you this week and beyond. Bunch of injuries to quarterbacks this past week. One of them you think is going to help out Nick Foles.
Well, the injury was to Michael Vick, and I think Nick Foles is ready to fill in. And Andy Reid and the Eagles were ready to get rid of Mike Vick. The Eagles' offense has not been very good. I think that's more on Vick than the people that surround him. Nick Foles, some fresh blood, I think is going to give a spark to that Eagles' offense. And look what he did last week in relief of Vick. 219 in a passing touchdown. They play Washington this week. Teams have been able to score against Washington. And if you need a quarterback this week, I think Nick Foles is a great pickup.
I'm going to go with Carson Palmer, and he's actually still not owned in a lot of leagues. He's right around that 50-40% mark, I believe. He's thrown 45 passes in 3 of the last 4 games. This Oakland team just likes to hit the air. He's had 4 300-yard games already this season. The matchup this week against the New Orleans Saints, everybody throws against the Saints, a high-powered, high-scoring affair that should be, and I look for them, especially with injuries to the backfield, to be airing out a little more. We move on to running back. Danny Woodhead, a guy's name that's been tossed around, should be on the waiver wire. You think he's a good pickup?
Well, New England runs it with Stephen Ridley, but I'm not concerned about amount of carries and workload. I'm concerned about red zone production. And when the Patriots get into the red zone, Danny Woodhead comes into the game, the third down back, and New England likes to speed it up. They like to get in their NASCAR offense. He's the back that does it. His numbers last week, 1 carry, a 15-yard touchdown. He also had a receiving catch. So he's a guy like Wes Welker. When Brady gets into the red zone, he looks for those guys. Small guys, get in the spaces in the middle, and Brady will find you.
Another guy I think you could find on that waiver wire is James Starks, running back for the Green Bay Packers. This is kind of more of a future pickup. He's splitting time with Alex Green. I think he's going to get more carries as they go on. It's going to be a split right now, but I think in the future, Starks is going to win that job over. You have Kuhn that's out right now, so he's going to maybe get those goal line touches. He's more of a big, sturdy back like that. So I think this is more of a future pick, but he could be a kind of a long shot play this week against Detroit. Move on to wide receivers, and you got a guy whose name I can't even begin to pronounce in Cincinnati.
Mohamed Sanu, rookie wide receiver. Big expectations coming out of college, and Cincinnati's looking for a big player opposite of A.J. Green. He needs his Robin to his Batman. If you look at the top passing teams in the NFL, they've got 2 big wide receivers. Armand Binns in Cincinnati had the first chance at that other wide receiver spot, didn't do very well with it. Sanu's targets have been increasing, and certainly his production. He's got a touchdown last week, and I look for Sanu to continue rolling and continue to catch the eye of Andy Dalton. By the way, Will, it doesn't hurt they're playing the Chiefs this week.
You talk about big expectations. I'm talking about a big target. Denario Alexander for San Diego is kind of in that mold of Vincent Jackson, a very big guy, large hands, who Phillip Rivers loved Vincent Jackson when he had him there. He had 7 targets in his first game last week, 5 catches off of that, scored a touchdown. They're going against Denver. They brought in Meacham. He hasn't really panned out. Malcolm Floyd's been hit or miss. I think this is the guy that Phillip Rivers has been yearning for.
And he performed last week, even with Malcolm Floyd and Gates still getting their catches. So I like that pick, Will, because he's not taking catches away from them. He's helping and supporting him. Good pick.
And we know that the Chargers like to throw the ball. It's kind of a passing attack offense. We move into the tight end column. Now, this is, you talk about, you like red zone targets. This is a guy who lives off of red zone targets, Scott Chandler in Buffalo.
Yeah, Stevie Johnson's the #1 receiver, but it seems like Fitzpatrick, when he gets into the red zone, he looks for Scott Chandler. He's really a touchdown machine down there, and I think he's available in most of these leagues. He probably is available in yours. Look at those stats, only 350 yards receiving, but 5 touchdowns. Favorable matchup against Miami, and again, it only depends on if your quarterback wants to get you the football, and clearly Chandler's the guy they look for in the red zone.
Do not be fooled by the name Brandon Myers. This isn't an accountant. He's actually the tight end for the Oakland Raiders, and I talked about how much the Raiders like to throw the ball. Well, Brandon Myers is actually the leading wide receiver for the Raiders. Now, he's going through a concussion test right now, but this is a passing Raiders team. He's really been lighting it up, double-digit points for weeks upon weeks right now. New Orleans, if he plays, I think is a great pickup. He may sit that game, and if he does sit, he still has Cincinnati and Cleveland coming up next. So a good pickup there, I think, if you're in desperate need of a tight end. Move on to defense, and defense is one of these positions that kind of changes. You think you have a defense that's going to be a great play week in and week out, and then they draw a goose egg or some negative points. You have notorious great defenses like the Steelers or the Ravens who aren't maybe performing so well. You have a pickup this week that isn't known for a great defense but could be a good play.
Well, the Cincinnati Bengals Bengals, and that's why I think they're probably available in your league, because they don't have that reputation of being drafted and plug and play each week. But over the last 3 weeks, they have stepped up. 8 turnovers and 7 sacks, 27 sacks on the season. The biggest point in my favor for picking up the Cincinnati Bengals is they play the Kansas City Chiefs.
St. Louis is my pickup for that, and they've been solid other than the Pats game this year, but nobody's really a good play defensively against the New England Patriots. They get the Jets and the Cards next. The schedule isn't too terrifying. I think it could be a good pickup for maybe a 2 or 3 week stretch, and it's a good defense, very underrated. That whole NFC West kind of has a fill of great defenses, and I don't think St. Louis is any exception to that. Moving on to kickers, and our thoughts on kickers are just pick somebody that you think is going to score, because it really is a crapshoot.
Well, it's very difficult to prognosticate on kickers. Our team's good. We'll get in the red zone, but we won't finish the deal, and now we might get a field goal. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you just got to pick a team that you know is going to score a lot, and consistency is what you want in a kicker. Maybe a big leg like Janikowski in Oakland, who maybe hit a 60-yarder. But that's all the time we have for STO Fantasy Playbook. Make sure you check back each week and check out our columns online. For Ryan Kavanaugh, I'm Will Ewick, reminding you it's your fantasy. We just happen to be in it.